Man, Heavenly Father, I thank you for this moment. Thank you for this podcast. Ask now that you would, just have your way. Thank you for this day. Thank you for every listener that's going to hear, every viewer that's going to watch. I ask, oh God, that this will bless them, help push them into the awareness of what worship truly is in relationship with you, God, in relationship with you, Jesus. And I ask, Holy Spirit, even now, that you would rest, rule, and abide, not just here where I am, but even through the airwaves, minister to your people like never before. Speak through me, Father. Speak for me. Speak up for me, Father, and speak through me. Ask, oh God, that as I decrease in me, you increase, that every worshiper that hear this, God, that they will become even more active and aware in their lifestyle of being a worshiper. Thank you, God. I love you so much. Amen. Yo, what's up, family? I am Keelante Gavin, and this is the Jesus in Jesus podcast. Yo, what's up, family? I am Keelante Gavin, and you're listening to the Jesus and J's podcast. Family, I'm telling you, if you have been listening to all of the episodes, if you've been watching, I promise you, then you know how good it's been. I promise you, you won't be disappointed from here on out. We have some great topics coming up. I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't want to spoil announcements or things that's coming up. I don't even know what to say. Spoiler alert, there it is. But man, for some of you that's been on me about dating and relationships, boy, I got something cooking for you. It's going to be so good. So stay tuned about that. But today, I love this episode. I love this podcast today. I love this topic because it is one of my favorites. It makes up not just who I am, but what I love to do because of my relationship with Jesus and its worship. So today's topic, yeah, you guessed it right. It is worship. Family, now, many of us have different revelations, information, definitions, it's just the whole 9 yards when it comes to worship. So if I asked any of you right now, if I was sitting in front of you and I was interviewing you, I would ask you this question: what is worship? Like, how do you define it? How do you define it? And honestly, family, we can be honest. A lot of us got many backgrounds, whether it is church, whether it is how we were raised, where what you interpret worship as right now is not related to how you were, how you would interpret it growing up. Facts. Like me, I grew up AME, Holiness, Baptist, Costical, Moscow, Toscano, Apostolic, all that stuff. So I am all those things in one. I'm all those one. So I'm really versatile. Even if you listen to my music, if you see me live, if you see my ministry, I am very versatile. Like I can sing some grandma and grandpa songs, and then I can reach my generation, find something contemporary or something, high drive and lit, right? Like I can get, like, I thank God for my ability to be a bridge, not just build bridges, but become and build people, as far as having the ability to honor the old generation and not forsake them because you're all about the new generation or a new sound. And so worship has entirely a lot to do with that, because a lot of our interpretations of worship have been watered down by culture. So we think worship is a sound or a tears or goosebumps or whoever's going with the new norm, who's hot, who's number one, but that's really not worship. Worship is least. Here it is. Worship is least about a song. Oh, no, he didn't. Yes. Crickets. I did. Worship is least about a song. And I don't know who told you and your mama and your grandma and all the people that is what worship is about. I'm getting tongue-tied here. But worship is least about that. Worship, in my definition, I hope y'all ready for this, because I got notes and all this stuff, but I'm not even gonna look at it. I'm just gonna say, to me, family, worship is, or should be, or is, however you want to define my semicolon, all God, none of you. Simple. That's simple. When I say that, now I can break that up. All God, like my pursuit, who I go to before I make a decision, who I consider before I make a move, who I talk to, who like all this stuff. Prayer is a part of worship. Like, and I think if we really take some consideration of that definition, like just off of what I just said alone, how much of your life looks like God or all of God? Now I know we've never physically seen God and all this stuff, but I'm talking about if we could use the compare. I don't know how to explain it. I would say like, yo, what can I say, family? Like, because even how we define God is different. So I'm trying to be really neutral here, but really just talk on my sense of, my own thoughts on what worship is. And for me, it's all of God and none of us. Like, how many of our lives look like that? Like, I mean, even Jesus, when we look at one of my favorite stories of what worship is, in John 4. John 4 is the bomb.com, because Jesus on his way somewhere, he tells the disciples, yo, I got to stop. I have needs to go through Samaria. Now, he didn't say it like that. But anyway, he said, I have needs. And the Bible says that while he is on his way in that town, he goes to sit on his well. And while he's there, there's a woman there who's a Samaritan, right? And in the conversation, I'm just jaywalking and I'm eavesdropping, but we're going to get along with the story. Go read it. It's in John 4. Ding, go get that. And in the Bible. And it says that he's having a conversation with this woman. Now, mind you, if we look at her life, like you'll see throughout the conversation, she's emotional. She is intelligent. She perceives well. She's aware, but not really aware. She has her own perception or perspective, shall I say, of what worship is, but Jesus kills her whole definition. He's like, yeah, that's not it. She tells him, she's like, yo, Jesus, like worship, like neither my father or your fathers or whoever have never worshiped in this mount, blah, blah, blah. So she defined worship to a specific geographical location. And Jesus was shutting all that down like, hey, it has nothing to do with that. He said, do you not know that neither in this mountain in Jerusalem or wherever else, sorry, don't beat me up. I should have pulled the scripture up, that you're going to worship. He said, but the Father is seeking such for a worshiper to worship him in spirit and in truth. He actually tells the woman, I'm Jay Wong. He says, for now is that time. He said, he says, they that worship, right? Y'all know that story? She must worship in spirit and in truth. Now, if I was that woman, I'd be there like, Lord Jesus, I ain't understand what you're saying. But in their conversation, she was intelligent enough to understand what he was talking about. Because even in the confounds of the definition of worship, she has an experience with the one whom worship is all about. He actually tells a woman at the beginning of the conversation, if you knew, who I was talking to, let me take a drink right there. Excuse me. If you knew who you was talking to. Oh, man. And I want to deal with that because there's some of you right now that you have your own personal relationship. But I want to ask that. I want to prick that right there. Do you really know who you're talking to? Because to really understand worship, you have to have a relationship. Like, it's not even possible to fill your life with all of God and none of you until you know without a shadow of a doubt that is between you and God. And at the same time, you know who you're talking to. And for this generation, I'm kind of nervous about, the up and coming artists and worship leaders, and because not that I am a worship guru or anything, I'm still learning. I am 22. I am still learning. But at the same time, I think we have a wrong definition and we have misconceived what it is all about. And so we get caught up in the lights and the mics and the stages and the platform. And we lack what is very most important when it comes to worship, the presence of God. And I'm not talking about with the mic. I'm talking about the presence of God that is practiced in every area of your life. Like, you have to know that the presence of God is the most important thing connected to your relationship. All right. Now, yes, I could deal with the Holy Spirit on what I believe, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, and all this good stuff. But at the same time, all of those things are necessary for what? The active presence of God. Like, you really, like, that's really why Jesus died. He died so that we could get that connection back with the Father, to have the active presence of God, not just the omnipresence of God, right? So the omnipresence of God means that he is everywhere at the same time. But the active presence of God says, even though he's everywhere at the same time, where I am, there is activation for the Lord, for Jesus Christ, to reign, rule, and have residence where I am, for either miracles, signs, for my faith to be strengthened in a way where we experience his manifested presence. So there's a lot of people that honor his omnipresence, but there are not a lot of people that honor the active presence of God. And family and friends, I know I'm not want to get too deep, because I'm not that deep, but yeah, sometimes I am, but I'm not. Like, I want to know, do you understand that if worship is in fact Keelante's definition on the Jesus J podcast of being all of God and none of you, that means you should at least be practicing the presence of God and it be made aware, not just to you, here it is, for those that are around you and for those that see you, bunk with you, ride or die with you, hang out with you. That's a real good question. Do the people around you know that you fear God? Like, no, all jokes aside. Because really, that is another thing of what worship is. It is literally a reverence, not only that you have, but those that are around you. You ain't got to believe my God. I ain't going to shove them down your throat. I'm just saying, like, at least have enough reverence to say, yo, I disagree that there is even a God. But at the same time, I honor you as an individual to say, if that's what you believe and that's your stance, then that's cool. Because ain't nobody about to disrespect my God. You ain't about to come around me and say all kind of crazy stuff or whatever, you know. How do you define that, Keelante? I really don't know. Let me take a drink right there. So yeah, that's just a real thing, because I think that's another thing of why my generation, they don't get worship. We don't reverence God. There's no reverence anymore. Like, there, you know how many churches I've gone to? Family, y'all listening to me, like, you're watching me, like, do you know how many churches that I've gone to? In 2019, fun fact about Keelante, I did 180 something dates in a year. Now, family, there are 365 days in a year, unless it's a leap year, but that's how much dates I did. Now, I did 100 and something in 365 days. Now, y'all think about that. That's a lot of dates. Ain't that over half? Is that over half? Ash, I think that's over half. Lord Jesus, I'm talking to our producer. That's over half of 365 days. And family, do you know how many people I've been around in churches, traveling the country, traveling the world, and I've seen places that reference the presence of God or reverence God, and I've seen places that didn't care nothing about no God. Y'all heard that country come out, ain't get nothing about no God. and it kind of hurts my heart, because we say as kingdom believers and citizens that we want to see a move of God. We want to see revival. We want to see, you know, I mean, you name it. There's so many things we can say. Oh, God, we want to see a move of God in our nation, our land, in our churches. Hallelujah. But if we look at our churches, do we really reverence God enough for that revival to take place? For the land to be changed or transformed, shall I say? For people to really get to know Jesus in a personal, deeper, and intimate way? Like, we say we reverence God, but I done been to churches where the presence of God in the room, and like 80, Lord Jesus, I'm not going to say that, 40% of the people just chilling on their phones. Now, I believe that, and this is, y'all hear me out, I really believe that, and I'm rambling on this worship thing because I'm all over, but y'all get it. I think it's really good. It's good to me, so hopefully I'm not losing y'all. Now, if I believe that when it comes to the presence of God, worship in a corporate setting, I believe that it moves in spots, which means you can have one row, right? I got a row full of people. 2 people can be on the floor, about kneeling down by the chairs. The other 2 people can be shouting and leaping. The other 2 people crying their eyes out, right? And then the other 2 people at the end of the row can be just on Facebook and Instagram and strolling on their phone. Now, if you look at the row and you say the Lord is in the building, you look at the last 2 and you be like, he can't be. They just chilling. I believe that when you are in expectation and when there is a certain reverence for I would say, that manifested or active present in a corporate setting, then you experience God. God is a gentleman. Holy Spirit is a gentleman. Jesus is a gentleman. He does not force himself on anyone, which means if you have an open heart to receive him and experience him in such a way that is transformative to you, then you can do that. I'm not saying you got to jump, leap, cry, run, and all this stuff, but whatever it is that you experience, whatever you need to experience for you, that doesn't have to look like everybody else. But what I am saying, that if a person is not receptive, if they don't reverence God, if they're not in expectation for anything to happen in their life, when it comes to a corporate setting, you're not going to see it. Now that's the corporate, but in the, I would say, the non-corporate setting, where it's just you and your house or at your job or whatever, there still should be some level of reverence that you have, where your relationship with God, your worship, that's what we're talking about. I want to get crazy here. Your worship, which is your relationship, is not more in your hands or your songs or your mouth or what comes out of your lips. It ain't the first part of service. That's not what worship is entirely about. That's expressions of worship. But real worship is defined by your 2 feet. And it's defined by how you walk. It's defined by how you live. It's defined by how you treat people. It's the drink break. Oh my God. I'm gonna drink right there. Especially for the churchy people who shout and stuff, because I come from the churchy car. I come from a churchy Pentecostal charismatic movement church, and so I'm used to all that crazy loud moving stuff. But I've also been in other atmospheres where it was just a sweet spirit, sweet savior. Sweet savior. Yeah. It was just such a reverence that specific environment didn't call for that. And so many of our churches, many of our denominations, many of our backgrounds, we have defined worship through those lenses of a cultural perspective, and we miss the individual personal perspective that you should have when you leave a building. Crickets. Yes, family. I want to know, do you really understand that real worship is about when you leave our corporate gatherings? If we look at 2020 was a year, personally, let me be transparent. Let me invite y'all into my room, into my space. It was a year where I really had to check my relationship and be like, okay, God, I really was missing a whole lot of you, and I thought I had all of you. And a lot of us, we thought we was in there, I love Jesus, I make Jesus freak, I just love him so much, oh my God, I'm in love, ah, la, 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 la. And here it is, really, yeah, you're in love, but you're in love with someone else's perspective or someone else's interpretation of Christ and not your own personal experience. And that is one of the most dangerous things you can do in being a believer or a Christian, is to live based off of somebody else's experience and not live off of your own. Because if I'm constantly living off of somebody else's experience, that experience is only going to carry me but so far. God has to take each and every individual who believes and who loves him and who's in a relationship with him in their own separate seasons, so that they can be introduced to him in a new way, so that you gain new worship keys. Catch this, which means, I feel a Mr. Preach coming on, which means if I ever go through a season where I'm in pain or I'm brokenhearted or I am sick or I have a disease, I need to be introduced to God as a healer. So then, this is good to me, I worship him for being that. Because you can't truly understand worship until you've experienced God. Y'all hear me, right? Y'all heard that voice change? You cannot really worship God with your walk until you've walked with him. Walk with him in the dark season, in the dark spaces, in the dark places, in the dark, just alleyways and corners and in spaces of your life where nobody was there but God. Not your boyfriend, not your girlfriend, not your grandma, your mom, your coworker, your boss, your team, your staff. There are some things that God has to take you on a narrow road by yourself so that you gain new worship keys, because God doesn't want us to interpret worship off of somebody else's interpretation. All of this stuff that you're hearing from me is good, but I want to challenge you that there's some things that I don't have the answer for, that in your own personal walk, you are going to experience God in a way that had nothing to do with what I said on the podcast, but it was great information, just not befitted or suitable for your season in your life. And we all have our own definitions, our own interpretations, our own inspiration, things that inspire us, and our own information when it comes to all of these things. But until you go through your own personal season where nobody is there but God, woo! I mean, that's all you have is worship. Sometimes we think worship is feeling stuff. No, what about a person, and there's somebody that's under the sound of my voice. You got to know what worship was when you didn't have a song. Woo! When all you had was your tears. Your tears were your song. That was your worship. But you didn't have the words to say. You're in a corner, dark, alone, abandoned, felt rejected. And in those times, you got to see what true worship was. And it had nothing to do with the service or church, or the churchy Jesus that they gave you, or a churchy approach, or things that aroused your flesh but did nothing for your spirit. You got to see a side of God in your private time that challenged, and it transformed your life in such a way that you said, woo, like that Samaritan woman in John 4, after she has a conversation with Jesus, come see a man. Woo. That just didn't talk to me, but he sat with me. He sat with me in times where I didn't feel like nobody would ever sit with me. He sat with me in the spaces where I felt like this rejection thorn and this rejection mentality that I carry was going to be with me forever, to a point where I don't even know how to love my loved ones because I was so abandoned that I missed the sensible touches and the conversations and that meaningful relationships. And where we are, where you are, and where a lot of us are, whether you're by yourself, whether you're watching me, whether you're listening to me, we've all been in a season where our most authentic times of worship was all that there was in terms of the silence, the stillness, where I don't have no words. My prayers ain't even it. It's the Bible says, be still and know that he is God. Do y'all know that resting is worship? Being still is worship? If you walk outside, or if you're outside right now, if you can look at grass right now, if you can look at nature, look at the stillness there is. And even the Bible says that all creation and nature reveals his glory. The trees are worshiping right now while you're looking at it, and you don't even know it. And if a wind blows right now, the trees, the leaves, the branches, all of it are just, even if they don't move, you'll at least see the leaves wither in such a way that they speak without saying a word. Woo! They say God is good. He is great. Oh, he is awesome. He is majestic. He is holy. He is amazing. He is wonderful. And even those words that I'm saying now don't even come close to all that there is that makes up God. The angels, oh man, they go around, revolution around the throne, revolving, saying holy, holy, holy. And every revolution reveals new revelation. And the more they go through and the more they go around is the more they see of God. And a lot of us, you feel like that your journey has been, excuse my language, it just sucks. But it doesn't. It don't stink. It don't suck. It doesn't. It's just God wants to reveal himself to you in such a way that you get your own personal definition of what true worship is. It's all of him and none of you. You ain't picked the season you're in. And some of y'all ain't picked me. None of us picked the family we in. But what is family? I'm going to leave that alone. That's another podcast. But family, for me, that is what worship entails. It's a never-ending journey of getting to know who Jesus is in your life. I'm Keelante Gavin, and I approve that message. Family, take the time today to ask yourself the question, do I know what worship is? And if this bless you like it blessed me sitting here talking to you and you all that's watching me or listening to me, then I want you to be the best worshiper that you can be. And in order to be the best worshiper that you can be, It's removing yourself, not forsaking yourself, but removing yourself in such a way that you allow God to stand up in your life. Seek him. Seek him. If you seek the Lord, I promise you, you will not go wrong. Even if he doesn't answer, sometimes his silence is silence. Sometimes his silence is an answer. Yeah. So take the moment today just to be still and just know. One of the Hebrew words for know is gnosko or gnosko. I don't know. Don't beat me up. And it means not to intellectually know, the K-N-O-W, but it means what you experience. Some of you didn't know God until you've experienced God. And for some of you that think you know him, you just ain't experienced him yet. There are different sides of God that we've all have seen, which have strengthened us and gave us new tools and resources to value him in such a way with worship. Not our hands and our song and our shout, okay, but our walk. And I pray today that you understand that that's what worship is about. It's about your walk. Treat people right. Do the right thing. Don't be a Jesus lover and you don't know how to treat your brother and your sister, even if they're not the same skin complexion. There's another live, another day, another conversation I would love to do with that. Because I know a lot of people, family, boy, they love the Lord, but they are racist and they just don't let people. I'm sorry, this is not funny. This is serious. No, seriously. Some of y'all know people who, I'm black, all right? And there's some people that's black and in church. Of course, I grew up in a predominantly black churches or whatever. Man, they speak in tongues. They love the Lord. And speaking in tongues is just a thing that those believe that it is the evidence that you have the Holy Spirit. I'm talking like this because even it's not about me. I'm talking to you guys, so you guys won't beat me up. And so that's the whole thing of Pentecostal, charismatic type of approach to faith, beliefs, and etc. Okay, I'm not a dog or theologian or a smarty or a doctor and all this stuff. I don't know. I'm still trying to understand my faith. Every day my faith is strengthened. Drink on that. And so, yeah, so just know that, it doesn't matter. All of us have been in areas of our life where there are people that say they love the Lord and how they walk, like seriously, because they're missing what true worship is about. It goes back to our theme, y'all. We know a lot of people who got a good talk game, but they got a whack walk game. They full of the devil. They're the devil. No, I'm just kidding. They're not the devil. They just need to work on some things. All right. Now, some people are spiritual. I ain't gonna lie. They got stuff been jacked up. But they're all right. We all jacked up. We got all the issues. We all got stuff. But I'm just saying, in regards to our topic today, just worship, man. Let's realize that it's all about how we treat people. And it's the things that can't speak that speak the loudest, man. Just know that. That's such a good point right there. The things that don't speak the loudest. All right. If you get that, then you'll get worship. You don't have to understand it in its entirety. You ain't got to know everything, the WORSHIP, but at least you know enough that it's how I walk and not just how I talk. All right. Man, family, today was awesome. I cannot wait for the next episode because it's about to get juicy. So stay tuned for what's to come. I am Keelante Gavin, and you have listened. Oh, man, yo, I wish I could keep going on this, man. This was really good today. You listen to the Jesus and Jays podcast. Man, until next time, I love you. God loves you best. But guess what? He created me to love you the best way I can. Until next time, have an amazing day, an amazing week. Peace.